Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into some really compelling source material from Angel Gabriel's book, Unbinding Love, Reclaiming Your Power and Breaking Generational Curses in Relationships. And I want to start by just asking you, the listener, are you exhausted? Seriously, are you tired of running headfirst into the same relationship patterns? That feeling of being unseen, unheard, maybe trapped?
Or that sinking feeling when you realize you're dating someone new, but somehow living out the exact same old story.
Exactly. It's like deja vu, but not in a good way.
Right. And that feeling of being stuck. That's precisely what this deep dive is about and what the book tackles head on. Our mission here is to shed some light on those hidden forces. The book calls them curses, basically.
Curses, okay. Sounds a bit dramatic, maybe.
Well, yeah, but it's referring to those really ingrained patterns. Think subtle power dynamics passed down, or maybe deep emotional legacies that just feel impossible to shake off.
Okay, I see. So not literal spells.
Definitely not literal spells. It's more an invitation, really. A chance for self-discovery and reclaiming your own authentic power in relationships.
And the promise here, what does the book actually offer?
The promise is pretty straightforward. This source material doesn't just diagnose the problem. It aims to give you the blueprint, the actual tools you need to build connections based on real understanding and, crucially, mutual respect.
All right, let's get into it. The book talks about an invisible inheritance. Sounds like we're starting with the internal stuff, the wiring inside us.
Exactly. It kicks off by looking at what it terms the echoes of expectation.
Echoes of expectation. That's that frustrating feeling, right? Where every new relationship feels weirdly familiar, like you said, like a rerun of an old drama, just with new people.
Precisely. And it's key to understand how the book defines these curses. They're not, mystical things. They're deep psychological patterns.
Okay.
Think of them like subconscious beliefs, behavioral scripts, almost like invisible blueprints you've picked up.
Where do we pick them up from?
They get passed down through generations, absorbed from our culture, and kind of solidified by our earliest experiences. These blueprints, they basically dictate who you're drawn to, what kind of chaos you put up with.
So where do they originate?
The book points to three main sources. First, family dynamics, how your parents or main caregivers handled conflict, how they showed love or didn't.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, cultural narratives, all those pervasive messages we get, like the romanticized idea that love means fixing a troubled partner, the whole bad boy trope, or even how dating apps shape things now.
Right. And the third?
And third, your early dating experiences, those initial relationships. They often end up cementing your first ideas about what you're worth in a partnership.
Okay, so those early observations definitely shape how we see influence and power, too. The book moves from that internal blueprint, then, to the external forces. Chapter 2 talks about the architects of power dynamics.
That's right. It zooms out to look at the structures around us.
And we've all felt that, haven't we? That kind of lopsided influence in a relationship, that subtle imbalance where one person always seems to be sacrificing or feeling small.
It's often really subtle.
The book actually identifies specific types of power, which sounds useful just for awareness, like financial power.
Yeah, where having more money dictates the lifestyle or maybe creates a kind of dependence. That's a fairly obvious one.
And then there's emotional power, which sounds trickier.
It can be, yeah. This is power wielded through certain tactics, things like stonewalling, just refusing to engage or communicate during conflict.
Ugh, yeah. The silent treatment.
Exactly. Or, and this is a big one the book details, gaslighting.
Which isn't just lying, is it?
No, it's much more than that. It's manipulating someone so they start questioning their own reality, their own memory. It absolutely shatters their emotional independence. It's devastating.
Wow.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, you see how broader societal expectations kind of act as these silent architects.
Yeah.
Well, think about historical gender roles, for instance. They still subtly condition us even now to accept certain power imbalances as just normal or maybe inevitable in a relationship.
So how do these older power structures show up today? Does the book connect it to modern life?
It does. Chapter 2 points directly at technology, actually. It mentions how ghosting in modern dating is such a stark example of unilateral power.
Right. Someone just vanishes. Cuts off all contact.
Exactly. One person just instantly cuts communication, leaves the other completely confused, often in pain. They've asserted total control over how it ends, over the whole narrative, really.
Okay, so that's the external pressure. How does that link back to our internal response? the psychology of who we're drawn to. Chapter 3 gets into the attachment blueprint, right?
Yes, it connects those external dynamics right back to our internal architecture, this attachment blueprint, which builds on, established attachment theory.
Bowlby and Ainsworth, that kind of thing.
That's the foundation, yes. This internal model basically dictates how we handle closeness, how we deal with conflict. It's like the architecture of our emotional regulation system, and it gets formed way back by those very first relationships with caregivers.
We hear a lot about attachment styles these days. For
Yeah.
anyone maybe not familiar, what are the main adult styles the book discusses?
So the book outlines the 4 key ones: secure, feeling generally safe and connected; anxious, preoccupied, often fearing abandonment, needing a lot of reassurance; dismissive, avoidant, who tend to suppress feelings and value independence above all; and fearful avoidant, kind of a mix, wanting closeness but also fearing it.
Okay.
But here's the critical insight the book offers. Your specific blueprint doesn't just describe how you are, it actively guides you towards relationships that feel known, even if known means painful or unstable.
So that's why people keep picking the same.
It's often why, yes, anxious partners might repeatedly choose avoidant ones, and vice versa.
Yeah.
That push-pull dynamic, it feels familiar, it confirms those deep early beliefs about how love works or doesn't work. That pairing itself can be the curse in action.
Okay, that makes a disturbing amount of sense.
Yeah.
But it also sounds a bit, well, final. Like, if my blueprint was set so early on, am I just stuck with it? Can I genuinely earn security later?
Yeah.
The book must offer some hope there, right? It can't just leave you hanging.
Absolutely. And that's really the core of the book's transformative promise. It introduces this vital concept of earned security. It strongly emphasizes that your blueprint is not set in stone.
Okay.
It teaches you that, look, you can't erase your past, obviously, but you can consciously rewire how you respond. You can build new neural pathways. But how you do that, the specific actionable tools and techniques for that internal transformation, well, that's what's waiting inside the source material. That's the value.
Right, you have to get the book for the how-to,
Mm-hmm.
which is crucial because Chapter 4 then delivers what feels like a real twist. It seems to shift the focus again, arguing that maybe the biggest, most stubborn block isn't the external stuff or even just the attachment blueprint, but something woven by our own minds. A spell of cognitive biases and self-sabotage.
Exactly. It zeroes in on how our own thinking patterns keep us trapped. Our brains are amazing, obviously, but they're also masters of self-deception sometimes.
Like confirmation bias.
Perfect example. We actively look for and only really register evidence that confirms our existing negative beliefs. Like, if you believe deep down I'm destined for heartbreak, you'll notice every little sign that seems to prove it right and ignore anything that contradicts it.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then there's one that really hits home for almost everyone: the fundamental attribution error.
Okay, what's that?
Think about this. Your partner forgets something important, maybe an anniversary or a date. Your immediate thought might be, wow, they're so selfish, or they just don't care. You attribute it to their character. But when you forget something important, you think, oh, I was just so incredibly stressed, or work has been insane. You blame external circumstances. The book highlights that huge disparity.
Ouch, yeah. That's uncomfortably familiar.
Isn't it? And maybe the most frustrating trap of all is the sunk cost fallacy.
Ah, yes. The I've already put so much time and fortune into this I can't leave now trap. Even when the relationship is clearly not working or even hurting you.
Precisely. That feeling of, I've already wasted 5 years, I have to make it work. It feels unbearable to cut your losses. The book really helps you recognize that irrationality, understand why it happens, and crucially, gives you that specific roadmap to dismantle it.
Which sounds incredibly empowering.
It is. The transformation comes when you realize you do have agency over these thoughts. You're not just subject to them. You can become the architect of your own mind, as the book suggests. But again, breaking that spell requires very specific tools to identify and challenge these internal distortions. And that detailed step-by-step work is what Angel Gabriel lays out.
Okay, so understanding the patterns, the biases, that's the first half. What about the after state?
Yeah.
Moving into action, into reclamation. Chapter 5 gets into reclaiming your kingdom.
Yes, shifting from understanding to actively taking back control. And this chapter focuses heavily on setting effective boundaries and really honoring your self-worth.
Boundaries. People talk about them a lot, but what does the book mean specifically?
It clarifies that a boundary isn't just some vague philosophical idea or a punishment. It's a simple, clear, non-punitive action plan you decide on for yourself.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like saying calmly, if you raise your voice at me, I'm going to end this conversation and step away for 5 minutes. It's not a threat. It's just, a statement of what you will do to protect yourself. It's an act of profound self-respect. It declares, this is where I end and this is where you begin.
That takes strength, though.
It absolutely does. And what's foundational, what the book really drills down on, is that effective boundaries require a deep-seated self-worth to actually stick.
Why is that?
Because without that core belief in your own value, the minute someone pushes back against your boundary, which they often will, the fear of rejection or conflict will just make it crumble. So the book provides these specific pillars rooted in things like self-compassion, authenticity, finding a supportive community. These are what you need to build that unshakable worth first. That's the groundwork.
Makes sense. You need the foundation before you build the walls.
Exactly. And then chapter 6 moves into actually implementing this in relationships, conscious connections, and what it calls liberated love.
Liberated love, what does that look like?
It's described as this equitable exchange where your personal freedom, your autonomy is cherished just as much as the shared intimacy is. It demands real intentionality in your choices, in who you connect with and how.
So this changes how you date, how you vet potential partners.
Dramatically. Instead of just chasing the initial spark or intense chemistry, which can sometimes mask unhealthy dynamics, the book teaches you what to look for. Signs of real emotional maturity, how someone respects boundaries, not just yours but their own. A genuine willingness to engage in healthy power dynamics, not exploitative ones.
So asking different questions maybe. Like, how does this person handle frustration? Do they take accountability when they mess up?
Those are the real markers, yes, not just the highlight reel. And finally, chapter 7 brings it all together by emphasizing that this kind of freedom, this liberated love, it's an ongoing journey. It's not like you reach a destination and you're fixed.
Right? It's a maintenance.
It requires deliberate self-stewardship, constantly cultivating emotional resilience. But the knowledge you gain from the book, it empowers you. So when challenges inevitably come up, conflicts, breakups, losses, you can meet them from a place of conscious awareness instead of just getting swept back into those old reactive patterns.
And the impact the book suggests isn't just personal.
No, it ripples outward. By consistently honoring your own authenticity, setting respectful limits, you naturally stop perpetuating those painful cycles. You gain the power to write a totally new story for yourself, building intentional, respectful relationships grounded in that deep self-worth. You actually become a kind of beacon, extending that curse-breaking effect into your friendships, your family, your community.
So the potential transformation is huge. Stopping the cycle, understanding why you make certain choices, and learning how to build something different, something truly respectful.
And the real value proposition here, what makes the book essential if this resonates, lies in those exclusive tools and implementation roadmaps. The deep frameworks for actually cultivating that earned security we talked about, the detailed self-assessments to figure out your specific patterns, the practical specific tools for dismantling those cognitive biases, for establishing boundaries that actually hold. That's the transformative insight waiting for you in Angel Gabriel's Unbinding Love. It's not just theory, it's the how.
And it's worth noting, the author, Angel Gabriel, comes from this interesting intersection of strategic innovation and philosophical inquiry. So the insights feel really well-grounded, built in a deep dive into the structures that define the human condition. This isn't just surface-level advice.
Not at all. It feels thorough, truly transformative.
So a final thought for our listeners to take away from this deep dive.
Just remember this. Your power truly is your presence, your choices right now, and your unwavering commitment to living an authentic, unbound life. So go forth, write your new story of love.